welcome to the Right Now Show. I'm Charlie Redner.
And I'm Judy Saxon. And this is a program where we put the emphasis on writers, writing, and the arts.
How you doing, Judy?
I'm doing well. How are you, Charlie?
I'm fine. Boy, we have a busy show today. Should we get right to it?
Yes. Let me tell you about our guest. She's Sue Schneider. She grew up on a farm feeding goats, pigs, chickens, tending crops. She was an English teacher at Anaheim High. She still teaches laughter yoga. She organizes food drives. She sings in 2 choirs, an alto in one, a soprano in another. I would like to know how she does that. She's written a wonderful book called Miracle People. It's an inspiring anthology of differently abled people. Welcome, Sue.
Hi, Sue.
Thank you. Hi, Charlie. Hi, Judy.
Hi. So where do we start?
We'll start with her feeding the chickens and the turkeys.
Yeah,
I want to know, how did that all happen, and where were you born and raised?
Yeah, I was born in Linwood, California, and grew up in the Compton area, Dominguez Hills, and we had a little 5-acre plot of land. We had all kinds of animals. So there were 4 of us, 2 older brothers and my adorable little sister, and we had to get up early and feed all the animals before we went to school.
That's like unheard of now. And what happened to that land now? Is it
now it's all industry.
Yeah.
We drove out a few years ago and looked at it.
But when you think back on that rural life, was that a happy thought of growing up that way? And I'm sure a lot of your kids in school didn't have that experience.
Years ago, we were all freer as kids. Mom said, go out and do your work and come back for dinner, or, and my mother was a little more controlling than a lot of mothers, but we spent the night a lot at our friend Linda's, and her mom, we could roam the hills all night long, and her mother didn't care. So we got into some kinds of trouble sometimes. One I want to tell you about, there was a seminary nearby where young men went to become priests. They had a swimming pool. They invited the boys to go swimming, not the girls.
Oh.
So one night my sister and I think I was 11, so she was 7, and we got our friend and we went to the seminary, sneaked over the fence, went swimming. When I dove in the pool, we could hear footprints, so we jumped the fence and ran down the hill and went back home.
Adventurous soul, huh?
Yes.
Wow.
It was great.
You were, yeah. How times have changed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you don't see kids outside much.
No, not at night especially.
Not at night, yeah, especially.
Well, we want to talk about your book and your special friends that you have, are Miracle People. And where did the idea come from for the book in the first place?
My husband has had MS since he was 18 years old, and we've been married almost 24 years. About a year ago, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I hear him hobbling back from the bathroom, grabbing onto things that he hangs onto, getting himself in the bed, picking up his legs, putting his legs in the bed. It's not easy for him. And just right then I thought, let's write a book about the people we know that are differently abled. We know a lot of people living in the village and outside the village. So we contacted a lot of people and they agreed to tell us their stories.
Now, did they write them down? Did they then how did that, or did you take a tape recorder when you interviewed them?
It was about half and half. Like Dave is blind, so he couldn't do that. So I went over to his home with my laptop.
Okay.
He told me the story and I wrote it up. And then, it went back and forth a couple of times to make sure it was the way he wanted it. I wanted to be sure these stories were told in their words.
First person.
Yes.
We didn't want the English teacher changing everything. So there were several people who I wrote it up. I mean, they told me their stories.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But basically they're personal essays of their
Absolutely.
life
Their words. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It is inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very inspired by these people. They don't complain. One thing I noticed when we were taping them last week, they're all very educated.
Yes.
And very willing to share their stories in the hope that they will inspire other people.
And that's the modus operandi why they did that in the first place.
Right.
is
I
to
would
help
imagine
others.
when you get diagnosed with Parkinson's or something,
Yeah. It's a shock.
that you need a support group, you know.
Well, and I'm interested in now. Do you lead a support group in your home, or where are the support groups, like churches or?
Well, you know, I find with these people, husbands, wives, maybe their church groups. With Michael, his dog is very supportive, and all of these people seem to have family around them.
Let's talk a little bit about Michael, about his story. It's
I
just
love
one
Michael.
of them.
Yeah. Michael was kind of tackled by another young man when he was 18. Instantly broke his neck. And as Michael tells his story, lying there, being very aware, he was completely paralyzed. He said, I know if I'm going to heal, I must forgive.
Wow.
And he said to the young man, I forgive you. And he's just a miracle.
That's huge.
He was told by the doctors, you will never walk again. You will not have children. And he just said, you just watch me, doctor.
Oh.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
he is amazing. And he has 3 grandchildren.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So,
too.
yes, he has a beautiful daughter.
How did you find the people then? Some with the support group that Richard's in?
Now, Kathy and Jack have been friends of ours for 30 years. And they're the ones that made Richard and I move to Laguna Woods Village.
And Kathy is the one, just to give a brief, what
She's
happened?
very small. Kathy was born with a defect in her leg, and that leg didn't grow how it should. So she had a lot of treatments as a child, spent a lot of time in the hospital. She had a very supportive family.
Yes.
And when she was about 14, they took about 4 inches out of her other leg.
Can you imagine?
I can't imagine.
I can't, yeah.
But again, she has a lot of support with her family and friends.
And she hiked.
Doesn't complain.
She did hiking.
Yeah.
So that was how you met.
Yes, I got off the track.
Actually, I met Kathy in Huntington Beach at our spiritual center about 30 years ago. And then we met our husbands there.
Oh my.
Oh.
Yeah, we went to each other's weddings.
Oh.
Several of the people in the book, Marilyn Stark, Hardy, Ritzma, they were in a pool class, a pool exercise class with us. And and then of course Doug Richardson, what an angel. He has Parkinson's. He had a stroke at 17 and then Parkinson's.
Yes.
And he lives with his mother and his dog, his little dog, and there's just a lot of love there.
So you know what I'd like to do? We've been talking about these people. Why don't we meet them?
Yes.
We have an opportunity to show.
Yes.
You know, I went last
Yes.
Sunday and I did a little taping session with them, and we get to see and hear their stories firsthand. What do you say?
Absolutely. Yes. Let's do it.
Hello, my name is Richard Snyder. I am the husband of this beautiful woman you've been talking to and listening to on this show. 50 years ago, when I was a senior in high school, I got a diagnosis of MS. But it didn't really mean anything to me. I had a few things that went wrong. But over the years, my body has steadily gotten a little worse. But I've learned I'm way more than my body. I don't ever think that I have MS. I'm always thinking my body has MS. I have amazing things going on in my life. I taught school for almost 30 years. Married a beautiful woman. I have lots of things to do, lots of things to play with. And I've learned one big thing: always ask people for help. You can never be too shy about asking people to help you. Let yourself be helped. I'm I'm just happy to be where I am. I think life is great. Life is good. I'm full of gratitude.
Hi, my name is Michael Smoolin.
Michael, what would you like us to know about you?
Well, I sustained a spinal cord injury when I was 18, and I was paralyzed from the neck down, and they said I would never walk again. I said, no, I'll walk again. And the doctor said, no, you will never walk again. The damage is too great. And I said, watch me. So people may not always believe in you, always believe in yourself.
My name's David Kay, and I'm currently blind. I've been blind for 26 years with a very rare eye problem called choroideremia. And I was able to drive and do most things, other than once I realized that I could no longer drive, then my life changed. So I became a low vision technology specialist to help people who are having vision problems, and I've been doing that for 22 years.
Kathy is my name.
What would you like us to know about you? And you're so inspiring.
The miracles in my life of having the medical benefits of operations on my legs so that I could lead a normal life are wonderful. And the latest miracle is that after I thought I wouldn't walk anymore, after I got to be 85 without pain, they said, well, what about an ankle replacement? So my ankle was replaced, and now I walk, but with a walker to keep my balance, but I have no pain. And I'm very grateful.
My name is Jack Houston. I was one of many children who were born with a congenital defect called a cleft palate. And when Sue started talking about wanting to have stories from individuals who had anomalies in their physical bodies, it inspired me to ask the question of myself, what was it like for me growing up and adapting to this childhood defect, which obviously is still part of my physical body. So I was delighted to sit down and just write a short essay about how I was supported by so many different people, so many different organizations, to just continue to grow into a loving human being. Thank you, Sue.
My name is Marilyn.
Tell us about yourself.
I have MS, and back in the 90s I had MS. I went into my classroom one morning, and all of a sudden I didn't feel my arms and hands and my back weren't burning, and all of a sudden I could jump up and down, and I heard a snap, just like somebody snapped their fingers. I came home and I called my mother in Illinois, and she said, "Are you missing something?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "I was praying for you while I was raking leaves, and a voice said, 'It is done.'" Just like that. I didn't have MS. I went home for 11 years to Illinois to take care of my parents. 2 weeks after my mother passed away, I was diagnosed with MS again, and I'm back in a wheelchair. Now, I have not stopped teaching. I'm still teaching, This is my 56th year to teach.
My name is Hardy. In fact, I thought this was a birthday party for me because I'm going to be 83 later this month. I grew up in a Dutch family setting where work was everything. I was always encouraged to go to work, become a skilled tradesman or whatever, but instead I went into the service, not completely voluntarily, but officially as a volunteer. And I was out of high school for 7 years before I started college. I started with the encouragement and blessing of my wife. Since then, she has encouraged and blessed me to get a bachelor's degree in college, get a master's degree in social work, to get a law degree, and become a graduate fellow of the National Institute for Court Management. When I retired, I was working in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Detroit.
I'm sorry, in Detroit, Michigan.
Infirmity, what's the...
And what's going on with your body? What's happening?
Well, my body now has got Parkinson's.
Parkinson's.
So, but that's just one more lie anyway.
My name is Doug Richardson. I live in Laguna Woods Village. When I was 18 years old, I had a cerebral hemorrhage that left me in a coma for 5 weeks, in the hospital for 3.5 months. When I came out of all that, I was paralyzed down my left side and couldn't speak, and also the positioning of the brain bleed gave me instant onset Parkinson's. So I'm 66 years old now. I've had Parkinson's for 46 years. It's funny because I never looked back. I never thought, oh, poor me, or what am I going to do now? I just kept going. I actually got a bachelor's degree in linguistics and a master's degree in English, and I taught at Chico State in the English as a second language program for 5 years.
Life is good, huh?
Just got to keep going.
My name is Sam Silverman, and I got into this game rather later in life. It's about 59 and a half or 60, and I got MS, and it was a shocker for me because nobody in my family has anything like it, and it was really just overwhelming. And all of a sudden, I have MS, so I go to a doctor and they diagnose it with a spinal tap. And that was like a shocker. I wound up coming here eventually and lived in Laguna Woods. And I met Pauline, who's the greatest thing in my life right now. And I also met Richard. And I never, I was doing a little poor me, and it felt kind of lousy. And I saw Richard on the scooter, and that scooter was like a lifesaver. And I just started talking to Richard, and lo and behold, he gave me one for free, which was amazing.
Oh,
he has extra ones, and he gives them out, you know, and it was just great. He gave it to me. I said, well, when do you want it back? He said, keep it. So it was great, and it really was a lifesaver. And living here kind of it's a great place. So I enjoyed the whole thing. You know, it was a shocker, but I'm living with it, and it ain't all that bad.
Thank you.
And Joyce is the one who's working on the doctor.
Now I got it. What's that? I'm not careful, I'll sign my own license.
Well, I think that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. If you see another signature on there, then somebody else screwed up.
Oh, good.
what she wants to do with her life is inspire young people to get into music.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sue Snyder, who's written a wonderful book called Miracle People.
And I was talking to those people on that Sunday, and I'm telling you, I'm inspired. They are amazing, and they're beautiful, and they're happy, and no one is saying, woe is me, if I've been dealt a bad hand. No one. It was amazing,
Yeah.
and you can see for yourself, these people they're getting along just fine.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, at some point you had to say to them after they've given their little spiel on what they were doing, well, what's with your body? And they would say, oh yeah, by the way, I have MS. You know?
Yeah, and one, just like fly in the ointment,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They are inspiring to be around. It was so much fun being with you and all of them that day.
Thank you. That was really fun, and they're looking forward to seeing themselves.
Oh, good.
Well, they will. They'll
Yeah.
be coming up.
Yeah.
So what did you take away from writing the book and realizing
You know,
that these
somebody
people,
asked me, how was it putting a book together with all these 14 people? And I said, you know, I think it would have been 14 times easier if I just done it by myself.
Oh, really?
If you had
There
written
was
the
a lot of
stories?
going back and forth in time.
Sure.
But it was a wonderful experience. And, you know, when you are around these people, you realize you have nothing to complain about.
Oh, yes.
It's just so inspiring. And there were a few people that are not in the book that I spoke with that were kind of whiny and kind of blaming.
nature, God, whatever.
Right, yeah.
Why did
blaming
this
other
happen to
people.
Yeah,
me?
why this happened?
Right, right.
Which is understandable that
Yeah.
someone could go there. And think
right. I don't know how I would be or how you would
no,
be if,
right.
you know, something like that happened. But these particular people are just so beautiful and so just inspiring.
And so
You
is
know.
your husband, who is a president of the Writers Club.
Yes, Richard.
He is too, yes.
Richard's the biggest inspiration I've ever had in my whole life. He's. I told his mom one time, I think this guy's from a different planet. He doesn't complain. He. Well, you know, before we got married, we were just kind of talking about getting married. We were up at Monterey Bay. And I said, I want to take you kayaking. We'll get a double kayak. So we rented a kayak. They got him into kind of a wetsuit. They helped him down to the beach. We got to the kayak, and Richard looked at me and he said, I can't do this.
Right.
I said, shut up and get in the kayak.
Oh,
He said,
wow.
oh, he did it. He had a wonderful time. And I really pushed him a bit to do different things.
A single kayak? I mean,
It was a double kayak.
Oh, it was
He's
double.
in the back.
Okay.
I'm doing all the rowing.
Mhm.
After that, after we got married, his parents gave me a check for $500 for Christmas. Now, his mother was a little bit protective, and I don't blame her.
Right.
And I said, you know what I'm going to do with this money? I'm going to buy a double kayak. And his parents both went,
we made a mistake.
Yes.
but we kayaked out in the ocean and lakes all over.
Oh my goodness.
And I do this, and Richard does.
That sounds like fun.
It's wonderful. So, and we travel a lot.
Yes, you do.
Yes, we have a trip planned for Scotland, England, and Wales this summer. One of the groups I sing with, we're doing some performances. So Richard's along for the ride. We've done this kind of thing before, where 3 of the men in the singing group have helped him get on the bus, off the bus, get his wheelchair. And I talked to those people, and they said, we will help him when we go this next summer. So
that's
we get
marvelous.
to travel.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about all these people. It doesn't slow them down. Whatever they're
Yeah.
doing or have been doing, they do.
Try it, try it.
You know, I just wrote a similar book about people who have ostomies, and it's amazing. These people are truly inspirational because they don't stop and they do more than they can.
And don't you wonder what's the difference? What makes some optimistic and have that wonderful view, and others whiners? Are they born that way? Is it that it would be
They're all from
interesting?
Richard's planet, right?
They're all
I think
from
they're from Richard's planet.
That's what I think too.
I think that's exactly right.
They're all from the same place. It is amazing, you know.
Yeah, I noticed that they're all just, there's not a lot of anger in there. There's just some spirit in them that
And I
keeps them
noticed
going.
in reading your book, gratitude, how that comes up over and over. They're grateful.
Yes.
Grateful for every breath, every step, everything
Right.
that I experience each day, each
Yeah.
morning. I welcome
Right.
a new breath of a new day.
And Richard just keeps thanking me for everything.
Oh.
You know, he was married once before for about 10 years. And I understand her attitude, I really do. It's not an easy thing. I used to get a little impatient when he's getting into the van, picking his legs up. But now while he's getting in the van, I'm doing stretches.
You're writing a poem. You're doing something.
Yeah.
Tell me about
It
putting
works.
the book together physically. Did you have someone, a book designer? Did you go to someone?
I went on Create Space.
Okay.
And of course, I'm in the writers club.
Yes.
Right.
And so I had seen what other people do. And so I pretty much put it together by the lessons provided by Create Space.
So you did it in Word, and then you gave into their formats that
Right.
they make available to you?
Right. You have to do it in how they want it. And when they don't make any changes. You approve the final copy.
Right.
And this is my first book I've done with them, and there are some changes I would make.
Are there?
You know,
Oh.
yeah.
You can
But-
still go back and make them if you want. It'll take it offline for a while,
Right,
but you could.
right.
They used to charge a fee for if you put a period at the end of a sentence or something. Now they don't. You can make over and over again. You could change. You know, I'm into my third version of a book that I just sent to them. So you can keep making changes until you're happy with it.
Right. I had some problems getting the page numbers.
Yeah, I
on.
did too. That was a hard thing.
I went to the Mac lab. They couldn't figure it out. I went to the PC lab, and it took about an hour, but
You did it.
one of the brilliant people in the PC lab did it.
We're going to have to wrap up our show.
This just flew.
Oh,
I know.
Thank you,
I
Sue.
knew.
Thank you.
I knew it would go fast. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it did. Do you have some wise words for
I
us?
do, you know. Two, I was searching through, you know, for inspiration. I found two that I like. With self-discipline, most anything is possible, and believe you can, and you're halfway there. Both of those were said by Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about you?
Well, I am going to use Sue's words. She had a wonderful dedication to miracle people everywhere. And she said, "You inspire the rest of us to live the best lives possible, and we thank you." And we thank you.
And we thank you.
Don't forget the Writers Group, second Friday of the month, Performing Arts Center, Dining Room 1, 3 o'clock.
Bye now.
I'm Judy Saxon.
I'm Charlie Redner.
Thanks for watching.